Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to another meditation session, but also somewhat atmospheric with the weather, the warmth, the humidity, and the looming rain on the horizon, which will be good to help to relieve some of the humidity and water the grass and plants. So let's settle into our meditation. So taking this time to allow ourselves to settle, settling in, settling down, relaxing back into being. We may have spent the day in a doing mode. So meditation's an opportunity, an invitation to move back into the mode of being. Being and knowing rather than always doing and thinking, enabling more of a mode that produces inner calm, clarity, inner peace and presence, a rejuvenating of mind and body, a recalibration back into balance. As we settle into the present moment, reference through the naturally occurring sensation of each soothing, therapeutic breath. So having our initial deep, relaxing, letting go breath, breathing out any stress tension that might have been building in our body over the happening of the day, the happening of the week so far. Breathing out, relaxing, releasing, letting go of roles and responsibilities, issues and concerns, thoughts about what has been, thoughts about what might be, allowing the mind to settle into the present moment, intimately, deeply, kindly. And feeling into our body with awareness, this platform for experience, the body, mindfulness of the body, sensing a few contact sensations, all reference points for the present moment, feeling our feet connecting with the floor, feeling the body connecting with the chair cushion or meditation stool. Feeling the placement of our hands and fingers resting in our lap. Sensation of hands and fingers. Bringing awareness up to the shoulders, relaxing the shoulders without disturbing the uprightness of our back. Relaxing our chest area so we can breathe freely. Relaxing the abdomen belly area so our diaphragm can extend fully. And then mindfully noticing that soothing motion, the gentle rising up with the in-breath, relaxing down with the out-breath. Shoulders, chest, abdomen, belly, allowing the body to find its own natural rhythm and process of breathing. Feeling that movement. Noticing also our face, even feeling the air connecting with our face. And perceiving some degree of light coming in through the closed eyelids. And looking into that lightness, brightness, blankness through the closed eyelids. A forward-focused gaze into the space in front through the closed eyelids. Maybe hearing a few background sounds, subtle sounds, but not being distracted or disturbed by those. Particularly also the internal mental sight or sounds of thoughts, not getting caught up into those either, but rather mindfully, consciously choosing to bring our attention to the breath. Maybe feeling the breath at the nose nostril area, directing attention, sustaining attention at that point of contact to feel the natural inflow, outflow, sensation of each breath in each moment. Feeling each breath, looking into the space in front through the closed eyelids, using one or two mental words as a mantra in the mind if that's helpful. Developing calm, clarity, peace, and presence. Always returning attention back to the breath if we get distracted by thoughts or sensations. Simply sitting, being, breathing, knowing now. Please help yourself to some tea and biscuits.
How's your mum?
Getting slightly better, but still in hospital. Still unsure as to how much recovery she'll get. I'll be driving down on Saturday to go and visit her.
Difficult. I
Pardon?
It's difficult as your parents age.
It is, yes.
Staff.
Yes, yes. Mm. Yes, the aging process can be challenging at any age.
Absolutely.
It's said that what we know of ourselves, what we know of others, what we know of the world, and what we know of life is only limited by where we cease to question. So the importance of continuing to ask questions. Certainly in Buddhist practice, it's encouraged to ask questions. The Buddha said that in the context of various qualities and attributes that help us both in this lifetime and in the next lifetime, the Buddha said, if you want to be born wise, ask lots of questions in this lifetime. And certainly I've made it a practice to ask questions. When I was a Buddhist monk, I'd ask lots of questions because actually that saying about asking questions and getting reborn wise was something that my first teacher, Kanti Palo, told me, encouraging people to ask questions, learn, delve, find out for yourself. Just don't take things on faith or belief, but ask questions, find out, gain that insight knowledge for yourself. And particularly not just asking questions of others, but asking questions of ourselves. And this is where we can certainly learn from our own experience and process information, and particularly develop insight, vipassana, by asking questions of ourselves. Often the answers are there. They're disguised, or they're below the surface, or they've been forgotten, or they can be worked out by asking a number of questions. Strategic questioning. So I've been reflecting, contemplating asking the question of myself, what is it to be a Buddhist? What is a Buddhist? And particularly in contrast or in comparison with being Buddhist. Is there a difference in being up Buddhist and being Buddhist? Are they one and the same thing? Are they different? Are they mutually exclusive? Do they overlap? And if they are different, then what is that difference? Is it a continuum, maybe? Up Buddhist, Buddhist.
Dedication.
Could be many things. The difference is just one letter, a Buddhist and Buddhist. So someone might be asked, so what religion are you? So they might say, I'm a Buddhist. Or they might say, I'm anti-religion, but I'm Buddhist. Not a Buddhist, but Buddhist. So a sense of what does that mean then? What does that mean? Particularly in comparison to a Buddhist. So I've been reflecting upon this, and in a way to be a Buddhist, and as a way of describing oneself, denotes a decision. I'm going to be a Buddhist as opposed to a something else. So it's a designation, it's an identity, it's even a sense of self. And in terms of being a Buddhist, some people might say, well, I was born up Buddhist because they were born into a Buddhist family, born into a Buddhist country, but they may not be very Buddhist. So if you've been to Asia, particularly Thailand or even Sri Lanka, Buddhist countries, you may have seen people that, okay, this is a Buddhist country, and if you asked that person, are you a Buddhist? They would say, well, yes, I'm a Buddhist. My parents were Buddhist, and I'm a Buddhist. It's a Buddhist country. So why are you doing that then? That's not very Buddhist. So that makes a difference between being a Buddhist and being Buddhist. So my sense is that yes, you can be born a Buddhist because you were born in a Buddhist country, and where that's what the tradition, that's the religion, that's the culture, cultural Buddhism. Into a family, and your parents are Buddhist, like, people might say, yes, I'm a Christian. So why aren't you acting in a Christian way? So it's, again, there's a difference there between being a Christian and being Christian. But also you can become a Buddhist by making that determination within oneself. The most simple way of doing that is, yes, I consider myself a Buddhist. Take it a bit further. I go for refuge to the triple gem, the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. So the Buddha, the fully enlightened person that realized full, complete spiritual enlightenment for himself, and then taught the Dharma teachings, the way of things, the truth of things. So I go for refuge, take refuge in the Dharma, the truth, the teachings, and the Sangha being the community of fully enlightened disciples of the Buddha, right from 2,500 years ago, right through until now. So I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and that makes me a Buddhist. And that can be done as a ceremony, special ceremony, particularly with a Buddhist teacher who is a Buddhist, or Buddhist monastics, monks or nuns, particularly if one is taking ordination. So when I ordained as a Buddhist monastic at 17, having finished high school, it was taking refuge. It was chanting particular chants, which was saying, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. And so as a conscious mark, a bit like getting married. I am now married. I am now up Buddhist. That connection, that designation, that determination, that devotion, that description to that as a particular day. The January 7th, 1982. That's when I formally became a Buddhist and ordained as a Samanera novice monk. But there's more to it, and especially in the context of being Buddhist. And that's where we might have people that say, well, yes, I'm a Christian, but I'm Buddhist. What does that mean? And it's my sense of what it means is it's more of an approach, a perspective that my approach and my perspective is Buddhist. Let's turn the air conditioning back on again. So like a philosophical approach, a way of looking at things, a way of seeing things, which is Buddhist. So in that way, it's not so much Buddhist, but more a Buddhist approach to life, a Buddhist way of looking at things, a Buddhist way of being, a Buddhist way of relating to self, others, experience. And so again, that's then different from just being up Buddhist, but then being caught up in immoral behavior and that's not very Buddhist, and not practicing meditation, and stealing and lying and slander and all that sort of stuff. So being Buddhist as one's approach to life, which maybe is more from the sense of heart than just the sense of self. I'm a Buddhist, but I'm Buddhist in my values, my approach to life, my way of looking at things, my way of experiencing things, my way of being with others. So there's more of one's whole being in that. There's more integrity. It's more real, more whole. So can these then come together? Well, certainly they can. They can be mutually exclusive, different, but they can also then come together. So someone that is a Buddhist, yes, I am a Buddhist, I am a Buddhist monk, one's a Buddhist monk, and I am Buddhist in how I look at things and view things and approach life and experience life. And also you don't need to be a Buddhist monk. You can be, yes, I am a Buddhist and I'm also Buddhist in how I approach things. And I think it can be helpful to appreciate that, because often people shy away from taking on any identity in any particular religion. They might say, well, I'm not into religion, I'm a-religious, I'm non-religious, but I can be Buddhist as my approach and way of being. And what that might mean more especially is that an understanding and appreciation of the importance of living in a moral, wholesome way, because how we live and does affect other people, not just ourselves. So the upholding of morality, virtues, living in an ethical way, the importance of appreciating and practicing the cultivation of the mind through meditation. So very much the Buddha's practice path is about cultivating the quality and clarity of the mind through meditation, which is supported by living in a moral way. Very difficult to develop the quality and clarity of the mind if one's not living in a moral, wholesome, healthy, ethical way. And then also being Buddhist would also appreciate the importance of developing wisdom. So developing wisdom, living in a wise way, which then includes morality and meditation, sila and samadhi, And then also using wisdom in how we relate and respond and engage and feel into life from wisdom, a wisdom perspective. And also the importance of studying wisdom teaching. So the Buddha taught for 45 years, and a lot of what he said was remembered and then revised and recited as chanting, which it has for the last 2,000, nearly 600 years. So there's a lot of teachings that one can engage, wisdom teachings to learn and study and use. So a lot of the charts that I've got basic Buddhist teachings that one can learn and use. So coming from wisdom. So in being Buddhist, as opposed to just up Buddhist. So being Buddhist would be living from, engaging from morality, meditation, and wisdom, which is the practice trinity in Buddhism. Practice trinity, sila, samadhi, panya, morality, meditation, and wisdom. And for that, we don't even need to be up Buddhist. It's just like, well, this is common sense. And any worthwhile spiritual tradition will have some degree of morality, meditation, and wisdom in it. I feel that of all the different traditions, spiritual, religious traditions, Buddhism has the most. Certainly emphasizes and exercises that as a practice. And this certainly then results in further attributes and qualities that we could say are Buddhist. So compassion, a sense of interconnectedness of all living beings, living creatures, a sense of feeling for them in their pain and suffering, in their joy and happiness. So a sense of connection, kindness, compassion for living creatures, which includes oneself. And that would be approaching life from a Buddhist approach, being Buddhist. And also the aspiration towards full, complete spiritual enlightenment as well. So that's certainly significant. The goal is to realize ultimate, complete freedom, because which certainly benefits oneself, but in the process of practicing, you're also benefiting other people as well. Other people, other creatures. I was freeing a cockroach yesterday. As opposed to, okay, I'm going to end your life now. I thought, there's enough killing going on. I'm going to put this cockroach outside. It was inside. Be free outside. So a Buddhist approach then, supports other living creatures. A sense of care and kindness. So it can be really important to reflect upon this and also then to see, well, in asking myself, am I a Buddhist? Do I see myself as a Buddhist? Would I describe myself as a Buddhist? If someone asked me, what religion are you? Or are you a Buddhist? You go to a Buddhist meditation group. Are you a Buddhist? What I would say, or even to say, well, if it was, wow, I haven't thought about it, or no, I'm not a Buddhist. I don't sort of uphold any particular religion. I'm against religion, but I am Buddhist in my approach to life, which may be more the heart of what it's really about. And Buddhism, that's just a word. It's just a word that the Buddha didn't use the word Buddhist. There was the word Buddha Sasana, which is sort of like the Buddhist tradition, but more the sense of what he taught was the Dharma Vinaya, the way of truth and discipline. Vinaya being the discipline. Or he otherwise would say the word Buddha Dharma, the truth that leads to enlightenment, freedom. So it's more of a modern type of idea of being a Buddhist, and even like Buddhism. These are conventions that we use. They're conventions. They can be quite helpful, convenient designators, but they can also be divisive as well. If I'm a this, then I'm not a that. And if I'm this, then I'm different from you. You're one of those. I'm one of these. Difference. But we could say that anyone that's living a wholesome life, that appreciates the importance of kindness and care and living in an ethical, moral way, that appreciates the importance of cultivating the quality of our consciousness, the mind, and wishes to live from wisdom, that's being Buddhist. They're all Buddhist. Whether they're born in whatever country, whether it's a Hindu country, a Jewish country, a Islamic country, a Christian country, if they're coming from that approach, then they're Buddhist. So again, these are just reflections and contemplations on a word, even on the word a Buddhist, Buddhist, and they can be quite helpful to yourself to reflect upon, in this way as well. Your own sort of further understanding, and then applying some of the insights and understandings that you do get from that. So any thoughts or questions yourself? Loretta?
Thanks, John. I actually had a question this week that kind of relates to what you're speaking to. My granddaughter is kind of contemplating, religion versus Buddhism. She goes to Catholic school, so forth, so on. But she asked me, well, there's a Bible, but is there a Buddhist Bible?
And what did you say?
She caught me off guard, and I was kind of thinking, well, there is no one book, is there? There's no one translation. Like the Bible is one book, and it's very thick.
Well, it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and there's lots of books in the Bible. It even means sort of Bible, bibliothèque, bibliography, book.
Yes.
So the Bible is the book, but it's a collection of books, many different translations. But in Buddhism, we would say there is the Tipitaka. The Tipitaka is the collection of the Buddhist teachings. And it's made up in various sections, categorized on the length of the teachings. So there's the Digha Nikaya, the long teachings. There's the Majjhima Nikaya, the middle-length teachings. There's the Itivutika, and there's the Sangyuttaka, and there's extra teachings. There's the Dhammapada, there's the Jataka tales, so that they're all in the context of the Tipitaka.
Thank you.
But it's about the written down, it's about the same size as the full extent of the Encyclopedia Britannica. So a lot. 45 years of teaching.
So I suggested to her that there wasn't in one book, but it's important to read from authentic teachers. That's really, that the teachers are authentic. I was just listening to Sean Fargo today, actually.
Who was that?
Sean Fargo. He's a mindfulness teacher who did some time as a Buddhist monk, now as a mindfulness teacher. And he suggested that the the Buddha's teachings were then translated 200 years later, but by oral, word language. And then there's the suggestion, well, then how is there anything missing? Or, how was it translated? It was authentic over 200 years, 2,500 years ago was like probably 3 or 4 generations, wasn't it?
Sure. So they were, yes, there was translations, but they were also kept where they weren't translated. The Pali was kept. So they were written down a couple of hundred years after, but it was an oral tradition. So that, and an oral tradition keeps things a lot more accurate than if it was written down. So that, for example, how many times did we ever write down the verse "Twinkle, twinkle, little planet"? And if I say planet, we know that's wrong. I've never written it down, but I know it's "Twinkle, twinkle, little star," or "Bar, bar, black sheep." Because we learned it off by heart, we know. And if someone says it wrong, we know, oh, that's not right. We can correct that. But if it's written down and it's in a book, it's like, oh, I'm not quite sure. I don't know by heart. Maybe could be mistranslation, not sure. But because the teachings were recited and chanted off by heart, they were kept very, very correct. And therefore, if there was any monk or nun that was chanting it wrong, they were corrected because everyone knew off by heart. It's "Twinkle, twinkle, little star," not planet.
Thank you.
And all of those Buddhist teachings have continued to be chanted and recited off by heart up until this day. So there's monks that make it a lifelong mission to learn by heart and chant the whole of those, like the whole of the Encyclopedia Britannica, however many volumes that is, and they know it, and that's the power of their brain and memory. And also at the time of the Buddha, there was because things weren't written down as they are today, but there was a tradition of learning and reciting and remembering and chanting, particularly with the Brahmin priests and Brahmin tradition. And it's like and many of those ended up becoming Buddhist monks, those people. And so they had a lot of RAM, big memory, it's many gigabytes of memory, so that they great capacity for remembering. Unlike these days, we don't remember anything because it's all on the phone, even how to spell a word, and so that we lose that capacity for remembering. But the appreciation is that certainly in the Theravada tradition of Buddhism, which is the oldest tradition, oldest school of Buddhism, that we have the authentic teachings of the Buddha that have been recited, recorded, written down, and accessible today by anyone. Another question?
I was going to say, could you relate it as well to the indigenous culture here
Possibly.
and how that's all?
Yeah, so an oral tradition and singing and keeping the stories going. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Also, if you wanted to sort of give someone one book that in many ways is sort of like a Bible in Buddhism, it's the Dhammapada, which is only a small book, but it's a collection of several hundred verses, succinct verses, some of them only like 4 lines, that in many ways are a summary of the Buddha's teachings. So it's worth having a copy of the Dhammapada. There's various translations, but to get a good copy, because it's like, and it's divided into chapters as well. Often, if I'm writing someone a card, or presenting a course, meditation course, I have quotes from the Dhammapada because it's a really succinct, powerful sort of 2 or 4 lines of verses that say a lot.
How do you spell that, please?
Dhammapada,
In,
Pada.
oh, pardon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So way of truth. Yeah. So I won't ask for a show of hands tonight, but think about, am I a Buddhist? Maybe so. Am I a Buddhist, or no, I don't want to be anything. But maybe I am Buddhist in my sentiment, feel, approach, engagement. Give it some thought. So we might finish up for this evening. It's not raining at the moment. It may, I think it's going to rain again. Certainly lightning out there. So be careful making your way to the cars and to home. And we'll see you next time. And also a reminder of the retreat day coming up, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, 22nd of February, 9:30 till 12:30. Good. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.